Today's cardinal lesson, we're talking about 5 legal documents that just about everybody listening needs. Many of you think you've already done these, or you have done part of these, but you don't have the complete set. So I would just encourage you to listen carefully today. And what's special to me, and the reason I started to do this show today, is just over the last week, my wife, I just turned 64 on Saturday. So I'm a year away from Medicare. And my wife and I completed our 5 legal documents. And so we have a total of 10 new legal documents in the Scheil household. And as I'm getting ready for the show, I said, why does this matter to our listeners, to our viewers, to you and to our clients? It matters because you love your family and you love yourself. And if you're doing this in your 60s, which is a lot of people coming to us, they're turning 65, they're in their 60s, and they're like me, they're about my age. And presumably this stuff is far off in the future, or maybe not so far off, or maybe with some of you, it's already some of the stuff where the need for this has already happened. But in any case, there's no time better than the present to learn a little bit about what you ought to do. And what I want to describe is the feeling that my wife and I had. We just spent the weekend with my son, my daughter-in-law, and my new grandson, or he's not new, he's a year and a half now, and just had a great weekend. And we just spent about 10 minutes, and I brought them together. I gave this to my son, I emailed it to my other son, and I just explained to them what these are for. And I said, when the first one of us is the need to use this, your mom, I was saying it, so like if something happens to me, where I had a stroke or something and I couldn't take care of myself and she needed to use all these things, it's going to be your mom doing it. But if this happens when we're both in our 80s, your mom's around, she's the power of attorney, she's still going to need you stepping in and helping her. That's the way it plays out with all of our clients. So I just want to get back to the feeling that we both had, and just the sense of legacy and just the good of checking that box. And it's the same feeling that I see people when they get their long-term care insurance issued, when they get their life insurance issued. And it's the same feeling that I've had before. And I would like to invite Tom into the picture here. And I'd like Tom to talk about how the necessity of these and how these documents play out in our practice.
Yeah, sure. So we have a lot of clients come in and we're doing financial plans for them. And we get to the topic of these legal documents and estate planning. And often we get people say, oh, I have a will, it's taken care of. And say, okay, I mean, great, you need a will. That's what, that's one of the documents we recommend. But a lot of people stop there as they don't get some of these other documents. And what's really important is in some way, these other documents are more important than the will. The state already has a will in place for you. If you die intestate, meaning you don't have a will, they have rules that they follow of where the money goes to. So, go to your spouse first and then kids second. And so most people, that's what their will says. And so if you die without it, which is not what we're recommending, you're kind of going to be okay. If you don't have some of these other documents, specifically the power of attorney documents, it can be very hard for your family to kind of take care of you in the time when you're not dead, you're just incapacitated, whether it's dementia or a stroke or something where you can't make decisions for yourself. You really, really need these other documents.
But Tom, why don't you show them where they can get copies of my documents?
Yeah. And so we started doing this on some of our new videos, and we're going to keep doing this, is adding show notes. And so on our website, there will be a section that accompanies each video of notes that you can follow along and kind of get a little more context other than just the board. And so if you go to cardinalguide.com, which is our website, it's going to take you to our homepage. Once there, at the top of the section, there's a 7 Worries tab. The 7 worries go over the different topics that we discuss in our videos commonly. And so each video we do is under one of these categories. Today's is under the life insurance and estate planning section. And so if we go to that section there, you scroll down to the very bottom of the page, there's going to be a section called resources. in the resource section or the learning center is you can find the show notes for today's show, which is the example of power of attorney documents. And so if we click on this, these are actually Hans's personal documents. We blacked out the important information, but the front page is just an example of the different documents that we have. And then further below, you can see his actual documents redacted of what they might look like.
Yeah, I mean, it just, so we're going to be doing this on every show, and we're not going to get away from the board, and we're going to keep things consistent, but Tom is going to be able to expand on every show because many of you have asked for more, and that's what we want to provide. So let's start talking about what the documents are. So we're going to start off with the general power of attorney. And what this is for is when you can't act on your own, when you've had some healthcare event, you've got dementia, something's happened, and you need another to do your business for you and to make financial decisions, sell property, a whole variety of things. And Tom's going to talk a little bit later about if these aren't done properly, some people just use the version that's free on the internet in every state, and you might be short on some powers. So I just went through and preparing for this while I was reading it. I'm going to give you an example of some of the powers that my oldest son will have, or my wife will have, or my youngest son, depending on who the backup and all the succession of things, in the general power of attorney. He can buy and sell property. He can deal with our investments. This is a real problem with us with elderly clients, is we need to have a younger person that can give us the authority to buy and sell securities and sell things and buy things and make transactions. And we're in a heap of trouble when we've got an incompetent person that has to go. In any case, it gives them the power to make investments, to buy and sell a business or operate a business. Like if I was in that situation where I'm the owner of Cardinal Advisors, if my wife, Rhonda, would be able to use this power of attorney to legally come in and make some business decisions, loans, lending, creation of trusts. So a general power of attorney can create a trust if it's necessary to manage a person's property or assets. They can make gifts. This is frequently used where, the oldest child is the power of attorney, and mom has dementia, and she wants to, and has all along, give Christmas gifts, give annual gifts to all the grandkids and maybe great grandkids. And this power of attorney is going to have the authority to do all of that, to buy and sell insurance and transact insurance, estate transactions, because the power of attorney is going to go out of effect after I die. I mean, this power of attorney that I'm holding here, once I'm deceased, is no longer in effect. It'll be the will. But what this is talking about, estate transactions, many of our older clients are the benefactors of an estate, like their spouse or their brother or their sister, or even their parents who have recently passed. And if you're unable, or the client is unable to, we want to have somebody that we do a lot of the heavy lifting on this, and our attorney that we have here, or one we'll find for you, but you need somebody that can sign and approve the thing. This gives them that power. Tax matters, to file your tax return. Maybe you can answer an audit. Just all things related to taxes. Again, a power of attorney can do that. Banking. IRAs require a good deal of management all the way up to the end of your life, because you got to name beneficiaries after the beneficiaries die or become disabled or get divorced, or just something happens that you need to declare another beneficiary. You got minimum distributions, RMDs, that need to be taken. And we need somebody to sign on that kind of stuff. Again, we do the heavy lifting as the financial advisor, and we get the attorney to tell them to do things. But in the end, we need the client to give the instructions. And if the client is incompetent, the person that has the power of attorney is able to do that. Social Security, deal with them. Legal actions, employment of advisors to hire and fire us, hire and fire an attorney, just any hiring and firing that, and negotiating about advisors, contracts. So they can enter into a contract. I mean, if they needed to go buy one of these I fell down notifications or monitors, you got to sign a contract for that, or you need to sign a contract with the new cell phone company. I mean, who knows what? The power of attorney can do that. Deal with attorney and client relations, disclaimers. There's times when people want to disclaim an estate. So we do a lot of that in estate planning, where mom is 88 and she's got dementia and she is inheriting money maybe from dad or from her brother, and she wants to disclaim that. She doesn't want that to enter her estate because she doesn't need it. And so she wants it to go to her son or something, or do a disclaimer. The power of attorney needs to have that authority. Life insurance, dealing with life insurance, transactions, paying the premiums, changing things, and annuities. So I literally pulled that list out of this. And I want to go to Tom, and I want Tom to maybe tell a story or two about some places where people didn't have enough powers and how that played out.
Yeah. And so we have clients, and oftentimes it's, adult children that are bringing their parents in, and the parents is the one that can no longer make decisions. They might have dementia or Alzheimer's or something like that. And so we had a client come in with his dad, who was unfortunately in a facility because he had been diagnosed with dementia, and they had a power of attorney written, and they were trying to get access to the accounts and do things. And so we get everything. We're calling the financial institution, and we sent them the power of attorney. Well, what the dad had done, and this had been many years ago, is he had just gone to the state, and the state of North Carolina has this, is a short form power of attorney that you can just print out. You kind of fill in who you want it to list, and then you have it notarized. And so it's better than nothing. But we ran into an issue when we went to use this. The institution was saying this isn't essentially good enough. This doesn't provide you the power that you need to have to do what you're wanting to do. And so one of the points I want to make is it's worth going to an attorney to have these written up and really give it the full, weight, and give you a lot of the powers like Hans's has. And so on those show notes, Hans's document, you can see, is about 10 pages long, whereas the short form is about 2 pages long. And so it's just not as robust. It doesn't give your kids or whoever the power of attorney is enough powers to do what you want to do. And so in that situation, we were able to go to a lawyer and kind of help get around everything and get a new one in place. But it caused issues where we couldn't get done, or he couldn't get done what he needed to do because the power of attorney wasn't good enough, even though he had one in place. And so what I would suggest everyone who has these is just review them, look at them, look them over, have an attorney look them over, and just see, is this something that's going to give me or give my heirs or my wife or spouse the powers that I need when the time comes.
Well, and so any of you that are interested, when we do a financial plan for people, we request that they send us what you got. And then we're going to review it. If needed, we're going to have our attorney review it. And she can only practice in North Carolina, but we obviously do business in all 50 states and the District of Columbia. So you're going to need an attorney if you're going to make some changes in your state. And we have a service that we use, and we have some lowered discounted rates on that, where they're actually, and that works in 22 states. So when we get into the other 28 states that we don't have that service, is not available, I'll find you somebody, but I'll only do that after we're doing a financial plan and we find the necessity to make some changes. So I want to tell another quick story. So we have a lady who is a client, been a client for many years, and her father was estranged from the whole family. And they, basically the bar down the way, down in Florida, called up here and just said that he, he's just asleep out there. Somebody needs to come take care of this guy. And then she went down there, got him in her car, got her up here, had her in her house for a while, had to get him into a nursing home because he had dementia and a number of things. But before she met me, she had him to an attorney and she had good documents. But we were in the same situation Tom was describing, where now she's calling the financial institutions with me, and we're trying to get this power of attorney that names her able to do things into them. And they wouldn't talk to us because all the accounts were locked up because he hadn't opened his mail for years. And so there's a point where these accounts will go to that or somebody that's just kind of missing in action. So the answer was to get him in there, bring him over to my office. He's just a delightful guy. And once he was sober, and we had one of my assistants would go out and smoke with him about every 30, 45 minutes outside. But he's a delightful guy. And so we got cue cards where we literally wrote his full name, his date of birth, his social security number, his address that was on the account. And then we called the lady back and we said, here he is. And then, we held up the cue card. Long story short, then we got this placed with the financial institution. So what I intend to do with these documents now is to place them in all my accounts so that the financial institution will already have the general power of attorney that I made out. And when I open any new accounts, this is going right into their notes so that my son will have no trouble calling up there, or my wife, and they have full ability to do all of this stuff. Okay. Next subject is the healthcare power of attorney. So why wouldn't you just add the medical stuff up here under the general power of attorney? And actually, I left it out of the list. It's already there. Okay. So at some level, a properly drafted general power of attorney will work to do some things in the absence of one of these. But why not have this specifically spelled out in one of these? Because nursing homes, assisted living, home health care agencies, doctor's offices, hospitals, when a person is in there and they're not capable of signing their own stuff, they want this, okay? And you want them to have this so that they can go right to the person named in the healthcare power of attorney and make decisions. And many times these two are the same person most of the time. And that's the case of mine. But with this, I'm not going to put this at every doctor and hospital or whatever, but I'm going to have it easily where my wife has that and I have hers. So if we need it when we're doing something, we can do it. And most importantly, because a lot of times they'll do business with the spouse. The real problem comes is when my oldest son is in there, even with my wife, but she's out of it too. And now he's trying to transact business, either about healthcare or business. And just having that thing and then just showing who he is makes the whole world. And what it essentially does is it gives him the ability to access medical records, to choose healthcare providers, to make healthcare decisions, just everything where you would have to sign a form and have a discussion, but you're not able to do that. Your power of attorney can do that. So they're going to have both documents. And then the third one is this thing called a Hipaa release. And you could say the same thing. Well, doesn't the Hipaa release just do the same thing as the healthcare power of attorney? And kind of, okay. But I'm just going to tell you this, is if you're married, call your spouse's doctor this afternoon and say, she was in to see you 3 months ago, and I want to talk to you about her medical record. I want to talk to you about something you said to her. See how far you get. Okay. Now, because they're just going to say HIPAA, unless she's given consent under HIPAA to give this information, you were not talking to you. And now, if she was in dementia and just or unconscious or something, they're going to talk to the spouse. But with the HIPAA release, this just really releases them from the liability under HIPAA of sharing information, private information with you. You want this thing. And I have a lot of people say, well, yeah, I sign that every time I'm down at the doctor. Okay, that's good for that doctor. But when people get older and they get sick, they go to a lot of medical places. And, and this place might ask you to sign a new one, or her to sign a new one, or him to sign a new one. What are you going to do then? So it's just as easy to have a separate document that gives you authority for any healthcare provider or anybody of private information. It gives them relief from HIPAA, where the person that had owned this information has released it to you. Then the advanced directive, all 4 of these documents, except for the last one, are applicable while you're alive and needed while you're alive. All 4 of them, when you die, they're over with. And then what takes over is the last will and testament. Okay. So a lot of people are mixed up by this, is that they were doing stuff as the power of attorney for mom or dad while they were alive. And then after they pass away, now they're doing things for them as the executor in the will, because a lot of times all of these things include the same people, but it's a whole different authority, different responsibilities, different stuff. And as Tom said in the beginning of the video, you want to have a will, but from a financial planner and an estate planner standpoint, to me, the will, I mean, if you look in here, my will is only 3 pages long. And it's the classic I love you will. It's just everything I have goes to my wife if I die or when I die. And if she's not alive when I die, everything goes to my 2 kids. I mean, it's just pretty simple. And in reverse, it's exactly the same way. Hans to Rhonda, Rhonda to Pat, Pat to Stu. It's just that order. And you say, well, why did you keep it so simple? You must not have much in assets. And, because I hear clients coming at me, I want this in my will, I want that in my will, I already put this in my will. And her kids, this gets real tricky with second marriages and blended families. And we don't know the order that the 2 of you are going to die. So putting stuff in the will that you want to have happen, is fine. But if you're leaving things to your kids that are your kids and they're her stepkids, and then, then you're leaving her out of whatever that portion is. And then, your stepkids that she had, I mean, it's just, it gets very complicated. So I look upon the will, if proper estate planning is done, as just simply a pour over document. It's like where the stuff goes and goes through probate if it's not taken care of elsewhere. And I'm a big believer in using beneficiary designations to have stuff go the way I want it to go. What I do for a lot of blended families, when people have a desire to give money to their own children or their children of a different father or different mother than the one you're married to now, and then your spouse has the same desire, is I use life insurance. And then I just name the kids as the beneficiaries of the life insurance, or maybe I name all 3 of them. The spouse gets so much and the kids get the other amounts, or perhaps I leave all the money to the spouse in the life insurance and then leave the estate or part of the estate to the kids. I mean, there's a lot of ways to solve that problem. But my point is, you really don't want to be doing that stuff through the will. You really want the will to exist, is where stuff goes when nobody knows what to do with it. But 95% of my estate is taken care of through other means than the will. There's just going to be some small things in the will that get passed on. So I hope you'll listen to this. Maybe you'll go to our website, cardinalguide.com. You'll look at my documents and just peruse them to get an idea. Please don't anybody copy my documents and think that's going to work. Those are for North Carolina and they're for me. in my situation, you need to get to an attorney, which I'll help you do. But I just want to impress upon you the need to do this kind of thing and to get these documents updated, and I'll help you find somebody to do it. So with that, I'm Hans Scheil.
And I'm Tom Griffith.
And we both thank you very much for listening.
Thank you.